This is a stimulus check update and daily news report. And with inflation ravaging people's bank accounts and ruining people's lives, having people make the hardest decisions they've ever had to make, I'll give you an update of what's going on with inflation and when it could potentially end. I'll let you know the latest of what's going on with the Build Back Better voting rights, as well as the latest universal basic income programs that are paying up to $1,200 per month. I'll give you the roundup of every single state and how much they're paying at the moment, and I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 to my subscribers. I'll talk more about that later on in the video, but first, the White House announces website to order free COVID-19 tests starting January 19th. So that's just 3 days away, January 19th. You could order your own tests to your house. So it's saying here that each residential address will be limited to 4 tests. The tests are also expected to take 7 to 12 days to ship once they are ordered from the White House. So once that website is launched, I'll let you know. It's covidtests.gov. So January 19th, I'll give you more updates on that. Next, let's get into the latest Universal Basic Income program, so also known as UBI, $660, claim $660 before deadline hit. So this is going on in Shreveport, Louisiana, where the deadline is tomorrow, January 17th. So if you qualify for this, then you could get $660 per month for the next 12 months. So if you live in Shreveport, Louisiana, you have until tomorrow to sign up for that. Also, in terms of universal basic income, California's next attempt at universal basic income could be on college campuses. So some college campuses are potentially thinking about universal basic income there. California could send $500 a month with no strings attached to college students from low-income families as part of the legislator's latest approach to a guaranteed income plan. So let me know your thoughts on that. College kids, should they be eligible for $500 a month? Will that help if they're coming from low-income families, or should that go to the families? Should it go towards older people? Let me know your thoughts on that. That's something new. They're in the talks of that. It's not official yet. And then universal basic income payments in each state in 2022, a guide to cash ranging from $300 to $1,200 a month. So once a week, I like to give these roundups where I tell you exactly how much each state is giving, usually city by city, state by state. So let's get into that. Alaska is giving $1,114 in 2021. That's just going to Alaska residents. That's been going on for many, many years, though. Compton, California, $1,800 every 3 months for 2 years. That's going to 800 people. Long Beach, California is $500 a month for 1 year for 500 participants. Los Angeles is $1,204 a month for 150 people aged 18 to 24 who are receiving general relief benefits. And then another Los Angeles one, this is $1,000 a month for 1 year for approximately 3,000 people. That's actually starting this month, January of 2022. And then Marin County, California, $1,000 a month for 2 years for 125 low-income women raising at least one child under 18 years old. Oakland, California is $500 a month for 18 months for 600 participants. Sacramento, California is $300 a month for 2 years for 100 participants. South San Francisco, California, $500 a month for 1 year for 135 people. Then Santa Clara, California, this is up to $1,000 a month for 2,400 to 2,500 young adults transitioning out of foster care. Stockton, California, $500 a month for 2 years for 125 participants. Then Gainesville, Florida, $1,000, then $600 a month for 11 months. This is for 115 formerly incarcerated people. Chicago, Illinois, $500 a month for 5,000 low-income people making less than $35,000 a year. That's probably the biggest one that I've seen. Gary, Indiana, $500 a month for 1 year for 200 people. Shreveport, Louisiana, which I just mentioned before, up to $600 a month for 1 year for 100 single parents or legal guardians of school-aged children. Cambridge, Massachusetts, $500 a month for 18 months for 120 people. Chelsea, Massachusetts, between $200 and $400 a month for 2,000 participants. Lynn, Massachusetts, $400 a month for new moms for a child's first 3 years for 15 people. Then St. Paul, Minnesota, $500 a month for 18 months for 150 people. Then Jackson, Mississippi, $1,000 a month for 1 year for 110 low-income African-American mothers. Santa Fe, New Mexico, $400 a month for 1 year for 100 young parents enrolled at Santa Fe Community College. So it looks like there's a college UBI right there. Hudson, New York, $500 a month for 5 years for 25 people. That's actually probably the longest UBI that I've seen. Then we have Rochester, New York, $500 a month for 1 year for 175 low-income families. Ulster County, New York, $500 a month for 1 year for 100 participants. Newark, New Jersey, bi-weekly payments of $250 and semi-annual payments of $3,000 over 2 years for 400 participants. Paterson, New Jersey, $400 a month for 1 year for 110 people. North Carolina and Cherokee Tribe, this is $4,000 to $6,000 a year for every tribal member. Yeah, I think that's just a Cherokee. Yeah, just a Cherokee tribe. Then we have Durham, North Carolina, $500 a month for 1 year, 115 Durham residents who were incarcerated in the last 5 years. Then Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 100 African American women and 100 people of any race or gender, all low income from zip codes, I guess in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Then Providence, Rhode Island, $500 a month for 1 year for 110 participants. Columbia, South Carolina, $500 a month for 1 year. This is just for 100 low-income fathers. Alexandria, Virginia, $500 a month for 2 years for 150 participants. Then Richmond, Virginia, $500 a month for 1 year for 18 low-income working families who do not qualify for aid. Then Tacoma, Washington, $500 a month for 1 year for 110 people. So that is it for universal basic income. I'll do that once a week, probably on a Sunday, where I'll give you the latest roundup. When it comes to a fourth stimulus check for the $2,000 per month to every American petition, currently at 3,016,000 signatures. It reached that 3 million threshold, but yet it hasn't really done anything to get into Congress, to have any members of Congress endorse it or talk about it even. It looks like they're still really focused on what's going on with the Build Back Better as well as the voting rights, which I'll get into in a moment. But first, let's talk about inflation. So how sky-high inflation is evaporating Americans' saving, imposing cruelest tax on the poor. So a lot of people are really suffering from inflation. For people who have money, it's no big deal, but people where every dollar counts, especially on fixed income or Social Security, SSDI, they are really, really hurting, have to make the toughest decisions of their life, choosing medication versus rent versus utilities, heating versus food. It's really tough. Here is the latest of what's going on with inflation and how it could potentially end.
Americans are making more money than they were a year ago. That's the good news. But the bad news, when the numbers are adjusted for inflation, workers are actually making less, more than 2% less on average. The reason is simple. Wages went up, but the cost of living went up more. I wanted to bring in Stacey Vanek Smith for a deeper dive into this. She's co-host of NPR's daily economics podcast, The Indicator, and she's also a correspondent for Planet Money. Stacey, good to have you on this show. You have been reporting on something that economists call the money illusion. Tell us more about what you found.
Well, thank you so much for having me. The money illusion basically is the illusion of having more money. Your paycheck gets bigger, there's a larger number in your bank account, but that money is buying less. So it's the illusion of having more money, but that money isn't buying as much as it used to, namely because it's not keeping up with inflation.
So tell us how that translates to real life finance for people who may be making more money than they were a couple years ago, or for people who really haven't seen a rise in their paychecks.
Well, we know that for the average hourly wage in the U.S. is up roughly 5%, a little less. So that's a pretty substantial raise for across the country. This is across industries. Inflation, though, is up about 7%. So that's higher. And what that means is that although our paychecks are going up on average across the U.S., we're able to buy less with that money. And so it can create kind of like an illusion situation because your paycheck looks bigger, but suddenly you're able to buy less. And for some things, for instance, gasoline prices up nearly 50%. And so that's way above a raise that most people have gotten. And also things like food, chicken is up about 10%, eggs are up about more than 10%. So these things, a lot of these things are things that we have to buy, food and fuel, the basics. And so when our wages don't keep up with the prices, it can create a situation where we actually have less money to spend. It can be very, very hard, especially on Americans who are on very tight budgets.
And we certainly have seen all of those prices go up and up and up. And obviously, when prices go up, they usually don't go back down. So will real wages eventually catch up?
Yeah, that's a great question. So real wages, there's something that economists call real wages, and that is sort of our wages in conjunction with prices. I think it's difficult to say. We've certainly seen certain sectors, for instance, leisure and hospitality, wages have gone way up in the double digits. However, prices are going up in different areas quite extremely. For instance, gasoline and food prices. I think it's hard to say, honestly. I think it's going to depend on some of the supply chain issues that we've seen. I think it's going to depend on some of the employers, if they're able to fill positions, which has been a big issue, obviously, over 2021. I think a lot of different factors are kind of brewing right now, and economists are, we're in a very strange time, honestly. A lot of different things have happened in the economy that some of them seem to kind of contradictory. So I think it's really going to depend. I hope so. I hope real wages keep up with prices, because otherwise that puts a lot of people in a really, really difficult position.
How has inflation been hurting you? Are you struggling a lot from it? Is it affecting your decisions on an everyday basis of whether food or medication or pay for your car or to get a job, or what's going on with your situation? Let me know down in the comments below. I know it's really, really hard out there. So what's going on with the Build Back Better? So Build Back Better can restore what's been gutted from U.S. housing. Basically, this article just talks, it's an opinion piece talking about how the Build Back Better can positively affect the housing market. There hasn't really been much news on the Build Back Better because a lot of the focus has been on voting rights, which is supposed to be voted on tomorrow, January 17th, which is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So Schumer delays voting rights until next week as Democrats face filibuster fight. So it was supposed to be tomorrow. We don't know if it's going to happen yet. Haven't gotten an update on voting rights. But the reason why I'm talking about voting rights is because Democrats were trying to get that done, then go to the Build Back Better plan, so there could be more stimulus provisions going on. Now, this move didn't really work out. It kind of blew up in their face because Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are not supporting either the Build Back Better or the voting rights legislation. And that is all the stimulus news that I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I told you one thing that you should do, that you have to do. If you're forever friends with someone and you know them, trust them, count on them. Trust means count on the person. If a person is mean to you, don't count on them, because that if you count on them, they'll be mean to you. And even if you count on them, they're still mean to you. They're still gonna be mean to you. So it doesn't matter. But that's all I wanted to say. But there's one more thing that I wanted to say to you. It's not about trusting someone, it's about how you believe in them. That's all I want to say. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support, and to show my support or show my appreciation for your support and being part of the Wise Flies community, I'm going to give out more $200 checks. I like to do this once a month just to give back to my community and to show my love for you, especially with you showing your love for me. So I'm going to be announcing all the details in tomorrow's video for the $200 checks, which I will be sending out shortly. So stay tuned for that in tomorrow's video. And if you want to check out my latest Wise Vibes video, you could click up here or down here. Or actually, just click up here for my Wise Vibes video, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.